So, good morning, everybody. It's Steve Bates here at the BIA, and I hope that Harriet, you've called in, and I'm just checking that you're with us. So, Harriet, can you identify yourself?
Yeah, I am with you, Steve. Once again, I can't see the PowerPoint, but that's fine. I've got my presentation in front of me, and if you just go through the slides when it's my turn to speak, that'll be fine. Thank you.
Wonderful. So we're together for this BIA webinar to how to make the most of BioEurope in spring 2016. I hope that what you'll be able to get from today's webinar is a lie of the land as to what's happening at this year's event, with a focus on what UK travellers and companies need to know. And if we do this well, we'll hopefully help you get your preparation, save you time on your preparation. And of course, everybody who comes is invited to a Sunday seminar and drinks reception organised by Lucy J. Robinshaw and Bio Partner, which we'll talk a little bit more about. So hopefully you've got an invite from a party from turning up, which is one bonus already. So let's move forward. So what we're going to talk about is the basics of BioEurope Spring, some top tips, a little bit on the overview of the UK activities and delegation, and as well as myself and Harriet, as the CEO of One Nucleus, we're joined, I hope, by Lynn Bateson, the Director of Bio Partner, Lucy J. Robinshaw, the Director of Lucy J. Robinshaw, and Mike Barrett, the Event Manager of Charles Kendall Event Logistics, who's going to take us through some of the benefits there. Now, first of all, I've got the pleasure of being able to introduce you to two new colleagues, relatively new colleagues, Bina Ancholi and Jane Thurgood, who've joined the BIA in recent months. Jane's been with us a week, Bina's been with us just under a year, who will be at BioEurope Spring from the BIA. So I've given you a picture, so do say hi to Bina and Jane if you don't know them, and they are here with us, so say hello.
Hello.
Bina and Jane.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hiya. Good. So they'll be with you at the event. Unfortunately, I won't be travelling on this occasion, but you're in very good hands. A couple of basics about the event. Over 2,000 attendees, lots of one-to-one meetings, about 1,300 companies, nearly 130 companies presenting, an exhibition of around 68, 53 countries from around the world with 21 workshops and panels. So a doable event compared to some of the mega events that we see at BIO or JP Morgan. But as always, as we always say with these things, be organised, make sure you know what you're doing before you get. Realise you won't be able to do everything. Plan in advance when you're going to eat, what your message is, and particularly make sure you can keep walking all day. Have the business cards, and we always say use the partnering system because getting your meetings organised in advance is important, because people do get booked up quickly. I'm sure you're already well in the process of getting on with those. I'm now going to invite Lucy to speak, Lucy J. Robinshaw, and tell us a little bit about the event on the Sunday night. Lucy, over to you.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much. I hope everyone can hear me properly. So I actually run my own consultancy, and I've been living in Sweden now for nearly 5 years in August. And what I do is I help Swedish businesses connect with the UK, and also English businesses connect with Sweden. So I'm actually quite located south of Stockholm, and I obviously know the city very well. So what I would say is bring warm clothes with you as well as good walking shoes, because we have actually had a scattering of snow. It's not as spring-like as England is at the moment, but hopefully it will be by April time. Also, there's plenty of things to do around Stockholm as well, so do take the opportunity to see all the attractions of the castle, Gamla Stan, and also the Vasa ship, which was on the maiden voyage out in the 1600s and sank, which is a really impressive ship to actually see. There's also a good exchange rate at the moment with the pound, so it's 11 crowns to the pound today. So the event which we're hosting with BioPartner and also APL is being held on the Sunday afternoon of the 3:30 till 5:30 at the Hotel Diplomat on Strandvägen. And the reason why I really wanted to put this event on was really to give the small companies the opportunity to actually be able to come to the event, as not all SMEs can also afford the price of the ticket for the 3 days. So the people who are going to be coming to our Sunday event will get the opportunity to meet companies that are not going to be attending BioEurope Spring, and also some interesting people from obviously the city, So the owner of the Hotel Diplomat will actually be welcoming everyone, along with APL, and also Solvency Science Park are going to be speaking. Harriet's going to also be speaking about her role with the Ambassador Programme. And also Medicine Village, which is a great success story from the closure of AstraZeneca in Lund. So, and they've obviously got good collaborations going with MediWales as well, and the Life Science Hub in Wales. So I hope you will be able to come to the event, and you're more than welcome. It's only a walk away from the Burns, which is where it's being kicked off by Europe Spring. So we hope you'll be able to come to that event. And I'd just like to reiterate what Steve was also saying about, obviously, BioEurope. I've just been spending the morning looking at the partnering meetings and setting it up, and really I'd put a hit list together on who and what you actually want to get out of the event, really, and also spend the next 2 weeks making sure that you're sending as many meeting requests so that you get to meet the people you really want to meet. Okay, so that's really what I wanted to say this morning.
So thank you, Lucy. I think people will look forward to that event, and also your insight and knowledge. Your email is on the screen, lucyrobbinshaw@live.co.uk. I think you're keen to get responses from people as to coming to RSVP for Sunday. In fact, also if you've got a question about Stockholm, Lucy might be a good person to with good local knowledge on. I don't know if you have a particular restaurant requirement or. Desire to understand what the weathers are going to be like, or any of those types of things.
Absolutely, more than happy to help.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Maybe now we can turn to Mike, who's the event manager at Charles Kendall Event Logistics. And Mike, I know you've been working with Lim by a partner for a number of years. I think you've got some thoughts quickly about some of the challenges of event logistics and things people should keep in mind from your perspective. Mike.
Yeah, hello everyone. Basically, yes, we've been concentrating heavily on life science events globally for the last 10 to 15 years now. Initially with BIA as our partner have kindly been using our services and also their accompanying trade members for the last 5 or 6 years now. And our response on helping the trade members is pretty basic stuff, really, when you consider it. But expensive equipment or in fact, any types of brochures and giveaway and promotional items must be sent in time to arrive at a venue by a certain date. Sometimes not before and sometimes not after, but on a specific day. This is not always the best way to ship things, is not by standard courier service, who tend to let's just say be a bit haphazard on what time they get to certain venues. But with us, we try inevitably to make sure that everything arrives at a certain specific time, at a specific booth, if that's possible. And in this case, we will be aiming to get everything to the BioPartner booth. Now, we are not just covering the clients for BioPartner in this show, we are covering other independent UK companies. Some of them are no doubt well known to you and are also listed on the BioEurope website. So we've got, it's quite a reasonable size show for us. As far as helping everybody, we would ask simple stuff, shipping within Europe. There are no complicated trade barriers, no complicated customs entries and duties to pay. So what we really need is a detailed items of what we're going to ship and of what we're going to collect from you. So that is number of boxes, the size of the boxes or cartons, the weights of the boxes or cartons, or even estimated weights. That would be really helpful. Make sure your boxes and cartons are labelled properly so that you've got your export address where they're going to, the show, followed by the company name, followed by the dates of the show, and also your return address, which should be exactly as it says, to and from. It could be on your letterhead, it could be as an attachment inside a pouch. We need to have arrangements to collect the goods, normally 7 days in advance of the show opening. So in this case, we've still got a few days left to collect anything from any individuals who need to send stuff to Stockholm to arrive on their booth or booths in time. We give guides to all individual exhibitors to basically to mirror what they need from a show. They could have huge, magnificent stands that take 2 days to build, or they just could be sending a simple pop-up. So we would like to create a general guide to everybody to suit their individual requirements. We've been experienced in over 150 shows last year on life science events, so we know what is required from you and also what is required by the organisers and also their members on site, i.e. people like Freeman's in the States, GES in Europe, or even Schenker's and Kuehne+Nagel and the other European events. Wherever we can, we do it ourselves. Not because we don't trust anybody else, but we know it's in our control then. And we certainly look after the UK life science trade in as much as that we have people on site who know their business, who know what they require, and we don't subcontract anything unless we absolutely have to. So in a way, I presume that you've got my email address. I would love to get in touch with you all individually and send you some attachments, which is unfortunately not available on the screen now. But I would like to make sure that you're aware of all our requirements and all your requirements we need to know before we make any arrangements for shipping. So basically, that's all I've got to say for the moment. If you need me, my number will be available to both to Jane or to Bina, and please get in touch with me regarding your exhibition requirements, and we shall also be in Stockholm for the show starting on the 4th. All your equipment will be in Stockholm by the 3rd.
Mike, thank you so much. I think, you know, those of you who've exhibited many times know that the devil is in the detail, and somebody who knows the store and knows the practicalities can make the difference between triumph and heartache, as you know, all of your stuff arrives on time, or 3/4 of your stuff arrives, or goes to the hotel next door because the Google Maps wasn't exactly right. You don't want any of that. And Mike at Charles Kendall Event Logistics is a past master at doing this, and we'll use this for the ULS stand. So thanks for that, and do get in contact if Mike's expertise could be of use to you. So thank you for that. BioSpring, BioPartners perspective. Lynn, do you want to say a couple of words?
Oh, assuming you can hear me, yes, I will.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, just to point out that Mike Barrett at Charles Kendall Biologistics, they're our preferred supplier at BioPartner, and your shipment will be safe with us because it goes along with all of our stuff, and we liaise with Mike to make sure that there are no mishaps at all. You can send just a small box of literature if you want. It doesn't have to be a large stand. And we offer 10% to our members who are using Charles Kendall services. And also the seminar on Sunday, look forward to seeing as many of you as can attend that. Those that have been on delegations with us before will know that we like to start the bonding very early. And we walk from the briefing, the seminar, to the official reception, where everybody gets to chat en route, and we all get to know each other before the conference. So BioPartner leads the UK presence at several key events, and often in partnership with United Life Sciences, as Steve has mentioned. You'll see Bina and Jane and the rest of us on stand at booth number 61, and I will be devising a stand rota so that everybody gets to meet everybody while we're there. United Life Sciences has a combined membership of more than 1,250 companies. And we share benefits and influence strategy through the BIA. A good example, if Neil Bradley's on the call, I think, from Manchester Science Partnership. They're BioNow members, part of United Life Sciences, and Neil's got a good discount to attend the conference and has spent that discount on joining the UK delegation, bringing a pull-up stand, so you can come and see him at booth number 61, along with Joe Maynex, who are exhibiting, and various other companies who are displaying the literature.
Perfect, Lynn. Thank you very much. Lynn is the linchpin at events like this, and absolutely knows where to go and who's where it's at. So I think we're delighted, and all of the underpinning of this is organised by Lynn. So She really is the person you need to know and follow if you're going from the to the drinks, because she'll certainly know the way there. So maybe if I can turn to Harriet, who is the CEO of One Nucleus, but also in this context is going to BioSpring Europe with her UK Business Ambassador hat on. And Harriet, perhaps I can turn to you for some sort of perspective on, you know, as we go as a UK delegation, how we can think about the UK life science offer to magnify the benefit for everybody who's going. Over to you.
Thank you, Steve. Yes, so just for those of you who aren't aware, the Business Ambassador role is a really exciting one for me, actually. It's in addition to my One Nucleus role, and it's all about promoting and selling the UK offer internationally. And that sees me undertaking a range of activities, from briefing and talking to visiting dignitaries, taking trade missions overseas, and doing my very best to help influence UK trade and investment's direction of travel, which I have to say isn't always straightforward, as some on the line will know. But it's a real pleasure to be involved and to sell the UK offer internationally. So at BioEurope Spring, I'll be going there entirely in my Business Ambassador role. And so if any of you on the line or any companies that I meet need support or advice that you think I can help with, please do let me know. I'll leave a whole stack of business cards on stand 61. And the majority of my time will be spent meeting potential quality foreign direct investors who are looking to invest in the UK, along with colleagues from the embassy in Stockholm, and also meeting large companies that you may want to meet at some point in the future. So a trade and an investment hat on, and hopefully I'll be very visible. I certainly plan to be very busy. So the concept of these few slides that Steve's kindly put into the pack for you is really a message about the UK, and for me this isn't a big sell about the current government. It's a big sell of fact about what the UK life science and healthcare sector is doing at the moment, has done in the recent past, and it's really just for you to pull on as companies as, when and if you think it will enhance your message when you're looking to do your international business. So the overview is that the sector, as we all know, is one of the strongest in the world, generates turnover of over £50 billion, and I think the numbers now are around about 180,000 people directly employed in the sector. I don't plan to read out every single slide. I'm just going to pick out a few salient points from each. And if we can move to the next slide, Steve, the key facts. I think the main point to pick out here is something that I talk about quite a lot in this role, is the fourth bullet point about AstraZeneca. And I'm sure all of us on the line know that AstraZeneca's currently moving and has been moving its headquarters to Cambridge, UK for the last year and a half, 2 years, and that's ongoing. I'm really pleased to say they've broken ground at Addenbrooke's, and plans at the moment publicly announced for it to open towards the back end of next year. The reason I mention this is because there was a lot of concern, obviously, when Alderley Park site was going to lose a number of staff, and people obviously coming to Cambridge instead. My point about that is that AstraZeneca chose to remain in the UK, and that's a really important point, because in my conversations with Pascal Soriot, the chief executive, he's made it very clear to me he could have chosen anywhere in the world for the global headquarters to be, and he chose for it to be in the UK. So if you think of the UK as a cluster, that's a fantastic thing for us. So that's the only point I wanted to highlight in the key facts. In terms of the government's commitment, I've been involved with the government and in my One Nucleus role for a long time now, and I have to say that I think the government's doing the very best it can with what's available to support the sector right now. We have a Minister for Life Sciences, as many of you will be aware, in George Freeman, incredibly proactive from the sector, I imagine planning to stay in the sector, and no matter what he's doing at the moment, and really deeply committed on a personal level to making the UK one of the best places in the world to do business in this sector. So I'm often asked, when I'm briefing UK trade and investment staff that come to the UK, and when I'm briefing other people as well, you know, what are the sort of 5 or 6 headline points about the UK? Why is it this winning combination? Moving to the next slide. And so hopefully nothing will be a surprise for you here. I just thought it was quite useful to put a few bullet points down. And I'm sure we could all argue about the NHS, but ultimately whether it's slow or less quick than it could be at the uptake of innovation, it is seen internationally as an absolute jewel for the UK. As I say, whether we all personally agree with that or not, massive, massive potential and opportunity. Obviously, we have world-leading science, which was the main reason that Pascal said AstraZeneca was going to be in the UK. Made it very clear it was all about the world-class science. We have a very strong and established industrial R&D sector, obviously in manufacturing and supply chain too. The translational research done in the UK, second to none. Fantastic research charities and patient groups, and a firm commitment to partnering with industry and a really strong infrastructure in a supportive environment within the UK. If you look at the R&D tax credits, if you look at the Biomedical Catalyst Fund and the other initiatives that have been undertaken in recent years, when you compare with other nations, it is really very strong and very compelling. Even though we all always want more. And coming to the next slide about the importance of research, one of the things that I've been very mindful of in this business ambassador role is not to focus just on what's going on in England. Obviously, there's amazing activity going on in England, but was recently up in Scotland for 3 days looking at what's going on up there. Fantastic work going on between academia and industry. Some amazing people within the industry, the academic environment, embedded within the universities, who are deeply academic but really understand the business need as well. Obviously, in Wales, we've seen a number of companies moving there because of the opportunities in support of manufacturing and other parts of the sector. And in Northern Ireland, there's cross-sectoral support for health and social care and R&D, which is a particular strength there. So altogether, greater than the sum of our parts. And then moving on to the next slide, I mentioned just very briefly some of the things that the government's had within its gift to be able to do for the sector. So that's some information there. You probably don't need. You probably all know more than I do about that, so I won't insult you by going through that one. But just to say that's the very broad and sort of headline messaging. I have slide deck after slide deck after slide deck of information about the UK office. So if anybody wants more information, do let me know through the BIA or directly. I wanted to keep it to just 6 or 7 slides because that's the top line information. And that's it from me. Thank you, Steve.
Harriet, thank you, and I think it's fantastic that we've got an ambassador with the in-depth knowledge and expertise and commitment that Harriet's got. It's great that she's leading the delegation and waving the flag for the UK. And I think from a business perspective, being able to locate your organisation within a very strong cluster, the network effect that you get from that and the strong support that you've got, I think does help and I hope bolsters the individual offers that companies can make. And if you want to use any of these materials in any of your own presentations or any of the things for backup information for people you're meeting, we're very happy to make sure that you've got them and can share them. A couple of practical points now from me, perhaps on the conference in a couple of weeks. Here's where the stand is in the hall, so you can see the orange blocks are the partnering booths. So the stand is quite near the partnering booths at a good location. So hopefully 61A, you'll be able to come and see us and find us. And as Lynn says, there'll be ULS representatives there throughout the period of the conference. I've just gone through the agenda and a couple of things that jump out in terms of the UK from some of the things that might be worth looking at. There's a plenary session on the Monday morning at 11:15 in the main hall, level 1, hall 1, which has on reverse engineering the ecosystem, some of the bigger companies looking at their ecosystem from their perspective, with strong representation from some people we'd well know from our UK ecosystem. Denise Scott Knight at Merrio, Sean Grady at AstraZeneca, Richard Mason at J&J Innovation London. If you was to look at one of the panels and go and support Brits who are talking about the strength of the system, that would probably be a good one. In terms of companies, there's only a couple of companies presenting this year, which is interesting for us, C4X Discovery and Top of the main ones. And having looked at this, I was quite surprised. And I broke this down, worked with Hannah here, and we had a look at this and looking at which countries are companies presenting from. And this is a surprise to me. If you look at the country breakdown, the USA's got nearly 40, Germany 11, Canada 10, Sweden 9, France 6, Switzerland 5. And there we are, UK down at 2. It's interesting for me, and I'd be interested to know from from colleagues as to why this is. I don't think this reflects the strength of our sector. Maybe it's to do with company choice as to whether partnering is of more value at this conference than presentation. And if you've got any thoughts on it, I'd just be interested to know. I'm not pushing for people to do things they don't want to do, but it is just interesting that that's the reason, that's the shake of it. And also, we would be able to have a discussion and feedback to the conference organisers to see if there's something that might work better for companies. Having said that, although the exhibiting is low, there are a significant number of UK companies at BIA Europe Spring this year. We identified so far 171, and DomainX have got a stand on booth 61 next to the UK ULS stand, and here's a few of the excellent companies that are coming, although, as I say, there's lots of them, lots of you going, so that's good. I suppose my only other thought now is whether there's any questions to me, Harriet, or any of the other people. Do speak or use the chat. This could be a bit loud as we try and unmute everybody, so do speak clearly if you're interested or there's anything to help you with. So, any questions, please?
Steve, can I just make a comment on the lack of presenters from the UK?
Go ahead.
Just to agree that people are prioritising this as a partnering conference, and being in the booth is much more important than being in front of what can be quite a small audience in those rooms for a presentation. And we have fed back to the organisers that there's not much we can do to increase that UK presence in the presenter slots.
So I think from our perspective, I think the core message to say to people is, look, the UK is strongly represented at this conference. There's lots of people around, but people are savvy enough to know that partnering is where the value's at. So it's the partnering and perhaps some of the social events in the evening where you'll rather than in the presentation booth.
Absolutely. You also find that a lot of companies that are investor focused are going to present at Biotech Showcase in January rather than at the BIA Europe. And that's another one that we all support, obviously.
Absolutely, Lynn. And I think from your mine and Harriet's perspective as ULS, we do constantly feedback and look to make sure that the things that are on the calendar are of value to the sector, and company input to help us get a sense as to what you value and what works for you across the calendar is something we're keen to engage in. Somebody has asked, how do partnering booths work? Do you have to book through the partnering tool? I think the answer to that is yes. It comes up when you book the partnering through the partnering tool. You'll be assigned a booth, and then you have the joy of charging up and down the very tiny corridors of grey carpeted rabbit warren, the right one, and then usually kick out the person who's in for the half an hour before you. So I think in this one, I'm getting nods from Bina, who organised me at Biotech Showcase, but it is the partnering booth is automatically organised through the partnering tool. Any other questions?
Steve, I'd like to add something, if that's okay.
Please.
Sweden obviously sees the UK as a very interesting export market. So there will be many Swedish companies there who would like to talk to UK companies. So I will do my best via also social media, Twitter, to ensure that they do come over to the booth or by a partner.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Lucy. We also, of course, have a message-taking service for those that have joined the core delegation. So if you see somebody's literature and business card, then you can leave a message for them and we will put you in touch.
Brilliant. So we look forward to seeing you in hopefully a sunny Stockholm in April.
Fingers crossed.
I'll organise the weather now for you guys.
Can you organise some umbrellas as well for that little walk?
Yes, I will do.
Okay.
Okay, see you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Unless there's any other questions, I suggest here's the other BIA events that are upcoming. Look forward to seeing some of you at any of those. We've got another one of these very similar to do making the most of bio, which no doubt we'll have the update on activities there. But other than that, can I thank you for your participation. Particular thanks to guest speakers Lynn, Harriet, Lucy, Mike, and have a great time in Stockholm, and hope you found this useful. Many thanks, and see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Steve.